Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bleav in San Diego Baseball, the podcast. My name is Alex Miniak, the voice of Petco Park, alongside my partner. He is the three-time All-Star, Heath Bell. And, you know, when Heath's on the road at Mertz Fantasy Camp, he brings friends. And we are joined today by none other than Howard Johnson. Hojo, this is a big treat for me. I watched Howard growing up. I grew up a Mets fan in Florida. This man is a two-time All-Star, a two-time World Series champ, a two-time Silver Slugger. He led the NL in home runs and RBIs in 1991. He's a New York Mets Hall of Famer, and him and I have one thing in common. We are both products of the Pinellas County, Florida school system. Hojo's from Clearwater. He's a proud tornado of Clearwater High School. Yep. I went to Lakewood High School. I am a proud Spartan. Howard, it's great to have you on. It's an honor to have you here on Bleav in San Diego Baseball.
Thanks, Alex. It's a pleasure to be here. My buddy Heath, and we're having a good time at Mets Fantasy Camp. And Mets had a tough year this year, but we're going to try to pick up the slack.
Yeah, at Fantasy Camp, we're coaches together, and our team is in the playoffs, and we're winning, so it's always a good thing.
Yep.
That is a good thing. You got any prospects for the team in 26?
We have prospects for 1826. Yeah. These guys were really young, way 100 years ago.
Not many prospects, a lot of suspects.
Yeah, a lot of suspects.
That's a good way to put it. Now, most know Howard as the third baseman on the championship 86 Mets team, but you actually started your major league career with the Tigers, and you earned a championship on the 84 squad that beat the Padres. What was it like tasting success so early in your major league career? What was that like?
Well, it's hard to explain. I mean, just like any young player, you're in awe of the talent around you. That was my first full season. So I'd been up in 82, up in 83. 84 was the first full one. So I kind of knew what to expect from a competition standpoint. And it was just fun to be able to watch guys like Trammell, Gibson, and Jack Morris, all those guys just prepare and come to play every day and play winning baseball. So that was fun to watch. And it's like getting a PhD in a lot of ways in baseball when you get to watch talent like that. And I try to take full advantage and ask a lot of questions and just try to learn from it, try to get better as much as I could every day and every year. And 84 was a special year. And actually, we beat San Diego in the World Series. So that was the first time that I'd been to San Diego because I was in the American League. So Padres weren't a team we faced, and fell in love with it, and ended up living out there for a while. But it was a lot of fun just being on that team and getting that experience.
You know, you were just talking too about, you mentioned three names that I was going to mention: Morris, Trammell, Gibson.
Yep.
You talk about three All-Stars, two of them Hall of Famers. I mean, being around those guys to start your career, living history, that is a textbook beyond baseball textbooks on how to play the game starting your career. Again, you must have been in awe, and you must have been in the back of your mind writing down everything you were seeing.
Oh, yeah, I was filing it away. It was a clinic every night how to win. We started that year off 35-5.
Wow.
And we won our first 17 in a row on the road to start the year before getting beat in Seattle. But just every night the guys came to play. The guys on the bench were ready to go. It was a clinic, like I said, about how to win. Offensively, we did all the little things right. Our pitching was shut down, and we'd add on late, and our defense was stellar. So we had some players around that a lot of guys I could talk to for advice or just to watch, you know, how they go about things and how they played. It was great.
Were the older guys like easy to talk to and stuff?
They were very easy to talk to. Even Gibby could be a little moody. My locker was next to his in Detroit, and he'd come in pissed off every day, and it was great. I mean, I just like, wow, this guy's like intense, total football mentality. And Trammell's just a guy you could talk to, and I'd take ground balls behind him every day. It was, and in Detroit, it was great. He'd go, yeah, come take ground balls with me, come stand behind me. And so I'd watch him go about it. And he's a textbook about how to catch a ground ball and make it throw to first base. Everything was smooth, always had great footwork. I learned then that good defenders field with their feet. And it was something I tried to remember as I, started to get more playing time, and it served me well, when I went to the Mets. So we had some good coaching over there as well.
Those are two coaches of mine, by the way.
Is that right?
In Arizona.
Wow. Oh, in Arizona. Oh,
When Gibby
that's
was the
right.
manager,
Gibby and Tram. Yeah,
Tram
that's
was
right.
there.
Yeah,
Wow.
small world. Tiger Stadium, one of the great cathedrals of baseball, no longer with us. I mean, what was it like? Your first plate appearance at Tiger Stadium, just coming up and being in awe.
You know what? I don't remember what I did in Tiger Stadium. I wish I did remember. All I remember is the guys would say, it's a slow infield. The grass is pretty thick, but the dirt is unreal. It's so good, and the lights are amazing. When we got there, I got to take ground balls there and see pitches at night. It was just like bright white, no glare, no nothing. The grass was slow and the dirt was quick. It's like going back in time when you play in those ballparks. You go there, there's so much history that of guys that were actually playing on that surface at some point in their career. And I just took it in. I soaked it in. I loved it. It was double deck all the way around. The fans had the wave down to a science. And every game there'd be a, less filling, tastes great, thing out in center field.
That was a great campaign.
Oh my Lord, it was incredible. It was unbelievable place to play, and to see a couple guys on my team with the Tigers and then visiting guys come in and hit the ball out of the stadium. So when you see that was pretty cool too.
You used to spring train with the Mets in St. Petersburg, and
Yep.
growing up in St. Petersburg, I used to come down and see, we all know about those Mets teams, 85, 86. 87, though, was really when you really broke out and when you
Yes.
became a power hitter. You were stealing bags. What was that transition like? How did you see the light, and how did that sort of happen for you? That you go from a light hitting position player, not every day, so to speak,
Yeah.
to being the guy, and then you're going to eventually lead the league.
That's right. Well, if you go back and look at my numbers through the minors, one thing I did was steal bases. I could do that real well, and I loved it. That was kind of my passion, to be honest with you. If I ever tried to hit homers, I was an easy out. So I had to stay with my game. Wasn't afraid to drop a bunt down and so forth. So 82, I go to AAA. I was the last cut in spring training. I go to AAA in Evansville, and a couple guys get hurt right off the bat up in Detroit. So they bring me up after the first game in AAA. I was in the lineup the next day in Toronto. About 30 degrees. We played outside. It was insanely cold. Wasn't a big fan of that, but
At the old exhibition stadium,
the old
right?
exhibition stadium, yeah, Jim Clancy on the mound. I just remember seeing the first pitch off of him and saying, "Okay, I can hit this guy. I've seen this before." And I had mixed bag of success, but I was able to show some skills here and there until I got sent down and went on a rampage. My numbers in 82 were tremendous, off the charts as far as running and homers and just doing all that stuff. I wasn't trying to hit bombs, but I was hitting them. And like I said before, if I tried to do it, I was an out. So I kind of learned that part about me. The biggest thing that Heath could tell you, even in the minor leagues, you want to learn what you are and what you aren't, and what you can do well and what you can't. And I tried to stay away from the things that I struggle with. And, hitting the ball at the park was one of them. And I tried to really focus on being a good guy, getting on base and trying to make things happen there. And so fast forward now to 84, Ray Knight kind of took over the job at third. I played a lot of shortstop in that year, but my numbers were, I think I had 10 homers and, 40 RBIs. I think that was my numbers. So when Ray left that winter to go to Baltimore as a free agent, the job was mine, and that's what Davey told me. And they would ask me like, "What do you expect to do?" I go, "Well, I could probably hit 20 homers and drive in 80 runs because my at bats are going to double for sure." And so that's the way I kind of looked at it. And I worked my butt off like crazy that year. Right side was my weak side, and I wanted to make sure that when Whitey Herzog or Jimmy Leland or one of those guys were bringing in a lefty late in the game, that um, I could handle myself against those lefties. And that was a year I had tremendous numbers hitting right-handed. Don't know what my splits were, but the numbers were really, really good right-handed. And that's kind of what led me to, going 30-30 that first time. I really wasn't even aware of it. I just kind of did it.
Yeah, I think you were like the first 30-30 guy. For people that are listening, that wasn't a thing back in the day.
No,
Mhm.
no.
So when you did it, it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Ohtani going 50-50.
Yeah. I mean, it's like that's a thing now. The guys do it. And 30-30 happens a lot more, but back then I didn't even, when they said,
Yeah.
you got a chance to go 30-30, I'm going, what's that?
Yeah.
That's
I
the
have
way
no
you
idea.
respond.
You invented it.
Yeah, I kind of
Much.
kind
I
of
mean, I was on the West Coast and I saw it. And I watched it all the time. So it was like,
yeah, it was
I want to
fun.
be a switch hitter too. I wasn't good at it.
Davey was great at letting guys do their thing, right? And stealing bases. I had a green light until I was reckless, and I didn't want to be reckless. I wanted to be sure of myself stealing, so I was good about that. And he just gained confidence in me, and next thing you know, the numbers are coming, and so that's the way it was back then.
I got a little treat for you here. I brought my 1986 World Champions Mets hat here, so I'm going to put this on for the rest of the interview. Yeah, I figured I had to honor
might
the
as
man
well,
here.
We can all wear Mets right now.
Yeah, we're all good.
Yes,
Yeah,
all three of us. I've got a lot of blue and orange between my Florida Gators and my previous New York Mets wear and apparel.
That was the first thing I thought of when I found I got traded to the Mets was, hey, it's same colors as Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They never go out of style. I mean,
that's right.
We're talking about New York in the 80s, a city on the come up, Wall Street. The Yankees are down. You establish yourself as the team in town. What's that like, ruling New York City?
It was cool, man. There wasn't many Yankee fans around, being truthful. There really wasn't. I mean, the back page, it was always Mets. I think the craziness of the team, the personalities, the talent that was there. I mean, Doc Gooden, you watch him pitch and you just can't believe how good he is. And then you have Gary Carter behind the plate and Keith Hernandez and just all these guys all in the same team, just doing their thing. And we would win games that were interesting to the fans. They loved the way we came back and win a lot of games. The home runs, they started doing curtain calls all the time, and that became a thing. And the Mets were just a hated group basically by every team we ever played. And so we used that as fuel. The fans loved it. And it was just one of those experiences where, lightning struck and I was there.
I think,
Yeah.
As a kid growing up in that era, I was 9 or 10 years old, and I think that's what you gravitate towards. This was made for TV baseball. Like, I'd go see it in spring training, and then we didn't have teams in Florida at that time, so it went away. So we relied on television, and the Mets had it. They had the swagger, they had the style, they had the look, they had the racing stripes down the side of the uniforms, that blue and orange. It just really sung that Shea was the place to be.
I was in the West Coast, and I remember it was like the Mets were like the cool team. You know?
Yeah.
So it was just kind of, I had the Padres and the Angels, and it was just, a little bit of Dodgers, but for some reason, my family didn't like the Dodgers. We liked the Giants better than Dodgers. It was weird. I don't know. But then the Mets were just kind of the cool team. And then weird, years later, I'm playing for them. So,
yeah. Full circle.
You became cool, Heath. I didn't know that. At one point, you became cool.
Well, a lot of campers remember me my 3 years in my minor leagues, but they're all like, "What? Why didn't you do it for New York? Why'd you do it for San Diego?" And all I got to say is, I don't really want to say his name, but I will. Willie Randolph, who was our manager, and he just kind of saw me as a young guy and pushed me aside and this and that. And other guys were like, "I think he can do it," and he's like, "No." And San Diego just believed in me a little bit more, but. I always thought I would come back here one day, but hey, maybe I'll coach here one day, or I'm doing fantasy camp though.
You are back there. You're
Yeah,
wearing blue and
back there
orange.
now.
Wearing blue and orange right now, and I know you have ambitions for being a coach. Hojo, you have done the coaching thing. Like, how rewarding was it to be on that side of the fence?
Very, very rewarding, especially at that time because the players the Mets were acquiring through the draft were fantastic. You got David Wright and Jose Reyes. Those electric players, that don't come up through every system, and they produce and they're good people and you know what to expect. And as a coach, I was able to be with those guys a lot several years, especially David Wright, and getting a chance to go to the big leagues and coaching up there and Jose was really special. And when you have relationships with players and you get to watch them get better and they've learned to trust you and I never told them, hey, this is the way you got to do things. I would just help them try to maximize what they do best. And to me, that's the best way to coach, and the best way to manage. You put players in situations where they're going to be successful. You don't ask them to do something that they're not good at. Not everybody can do the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And so you start with that dynamic and that baseline, and you could have success. And guys will max out where they are. And David and Jose were just tremendous ball players. And then you add the guys like Beltran and Delgado and, oh my gosh, Sean Green, all these players, amazing players. And so you just appreciate at the time that's who we had. And I was fortunate to be in that group at that time.
You had two good waves of Mets talent you got to experience. Was there a favorite player or a coach or a moment? If you had one singular takeaway from your time as a Met, what would that be?
Well, as a player, I would say probably Bud Harrelson was one of I love Davey, obviously, but who doesn't? But, Bud Harrelson was a kind of like the calming voice for me. He would always relate things to me in ways I would understand defensively and then even offensively. And then as a coach, David was like the perfect child. And so you just appreciate what they bring to the table every night. And when you see greatness, you see it. When you see, talent, you see it, and you just want to work with it. You just want to be there and help mold it, and that's not change it or anything like that. And this is back in the day, Alex, and Heath knows this. In player development, if you performed, that was your ticket to go to the next level. Now it's how you do it. They want you to do it a certain way. And not everybody's built the same way. Nowadays, they expect guys all to be the same, which is completely crazy. I want to take success and mold it from what guys do naturally and what they do well. Because when they're in the fire, that's what you're going to resort to.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how you have to teach. You can't just have them do stuff that they've never done in the past.
What was your favorite stadium besides your home stadium?
Wrigley Field was my favorite. I used
Wrigley?
to love going to Wrigley, man. I love those day games. I love going there. I used to homer there every series. Wind blowing in, wind blowing out, didn't matter. Just had some great ball games there. Because I just remember what it was like watching the Cubs on TV. Just the dark dirt they had was cool and everything. It was just different, just a different vibe. Chicago is special.
Chicago was a fun place to play.
Yeah, it is. Really is.
Yeah, before I became the voice of Petco Park, I actually had a chance to become the voice of Wrigley Field, and I went there for my audition, and you get hit with that as soon as you walk in the door. And it's just, I know it's March, and I know that ivy is dead and it's brown, but that is still the Wrigley ivy, and you were like, whoa. And you're right about that dirt color, that dark dirt.
Dark dirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to, when I was a player, one of the things I used to do to kind of relax myself as a player, because I was kind of high strung at times, would be to get dirty anywhere I play. If I could dive somehow and get dirty, get a little blood or something going, whatever, anything like that, man, that was it. If I could do that in the first inning, I was going to be okay. But Wrigley Field is cool. You drive from the hotel and you're just going down streets with these apartment buildings and condos. And next thing you know, there's a stadium. You're like, wow, this is really awesome. That scoreboard, everything.
It's almost
about
like
it.
playing in a park and you're in the neighborhood, but there's just seats everywhere.
Yeah.
Really
awesome.
is.
Yeah, it's a cool
Yeah.
place.
And there's seats on people's roofs and rooftops.
Yep,
and,
Yep.
That reminds me of going to spring training back in the day when you would just park in people's front yards. It was
Oh.
just like, here is the complex. And the one I'm referring to the most is Toronto's in Dunedin. That
Yes.
you just park in somebody's front yard and
Yeah,
there's the
you just
ballpark. You
park
walk
there.
in.
It was cool because those are ballparks we played in high school, tournaments and, against Dunedin High School and all that stuff. So, it's fun to go back there as a professional in Major League camp and hit in those parks knowing that, you got a comfort zone there,
Yeah, for sure. Well, you know what? It's been a treat to have you here on Bleav in San Diego Baseball. Howard Johnson, Mets Hall of Famer, multiple-time All-Star, multiple-time Silver Slugger winner. And, of course, I'm a big fan. 9-year-old, 10-year-old Alex is just jumping for joy right now because this is my fanboy moment to talk to you, my friend. This has been a real treat. We do a segment on this show, by the way, called Junk Wax Gems, where we go through cards of the 80s and 90s. If you want to stick around, I'm going to pull one from the box and we're going to talk about it. Would you like to do that, Hojo?
Sure, we can do it.
All right. We will be back in just a couple minutes. Hang with us. My name's Alex Miniak. That's Heath Bell, along with our special guest, Howard Johnson. We'll be back on Bleav in San Diego Baseball. Welcome back to Bleav in San Diego Baseball, our podcast here. My name is Alex Miniak, alongside the three-time All-Star Heath Bell, not wearing Padres attire today. He is in his Mets getup for Mets Fantasy Camp. Yes, it is possible that baseball players sometimes play for other teams. I know, it's weird. Even I worked for other teams. But we're one big baseball family at the end of the day, and we have our guest here, Howard Johnson, third baseman for the Mets, Mets Hall of Famer. We love him, and it's been great to have you here, Howard. We do a segment called Junk Wax Gems where we dive into our personal collections. I keep them here in this little, this is actually a little Western metal brick-looking thing.
Okay,
we actually serve a banana pudding in these at Petco Park. Yeah, that's real.
It's too much.
Too rich.
It's way too rich. Like having a bite or two, you're great, but try to eat the whole thing, you're just like, oh.
Wow.
You need to share it. Yeah, it's a shareable type thing.
Speaking of rich, if you like rich food, I can make a good one, is a fried bologna sandwich.
Really?
I'd love, I was just talking to a buddy of mine about this the other day. Fried bologna sandwich with cheese and maybe a little bit of yellow mustard, and that's a home run to me.
And eggs. Fried
So
egg on
good.
it. Oh my gosh. I meant to make you one.
Yeah, we might have to come back to that. Please send me one. Well, from the stack today, I'm going to pull one. This is a 1992 Fleer Ultra Craig Shipley card.
Ooh,
Now, this is the era where we get into a higher gloss, higher quality card. Fleer had been making cards since like the 1920s. Did you know? This is a fun fact. Fleer was the first company to successfully manufacture bubble gum. That I did not know. I just learned that today. Ship was a guy who had played around. He had two stints with the Padres from 91 to 94 and 96 to 97. He also played with the Dodgers, the Mets, the Astros, and the Angels. He is the first Australian-born player to play Major League Baseball in the modern era, and he's in the Australian Baseball Hall of Fame. So he's a bit of a pioneer, Ship is.
That's cool. Yeah. I know Ship. He was a heck of a player back in those days.
Utility guy. He did it all. Second base, third base, shortstop, right field.
He was a tough athlete. He always made good plays at short. He did a good job.
He was also a victim of the 94 season, too. He was hitting .333 over 81 games with 30 RBI and, of course, a strike. Kind of killed that season. From there, he went on to Houston to play for the Astros. 582 Major League games in his career over 13 seasons. And then he followed former Padres GM Kevin Towers to Arizona as an assistant over there. So, again, baseball, one big family. We all go somewhere. We all come from somewhere. Ship made it around. That's a solid career right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Big time.
Do you ever look at old baseball cards and go, just think of teammates,
Oh,
players, and I do that all the time.
I do. I see baseball cards, and I like to see the older guys. And
I'm like, oh, yeah, that guy was really good, or like this. I'm like, oh, he was my coach. He was my coach.
yep.
It's like, oh, yeah, I remember facing him. I didn't like facing him.
Yeah.
So
I think And Heath and I have talked about this too. When I talk to somebody who I watched, like you, growing up, I tend to be in awe a little bit. I am not starstruck. I've met and worked with a lot of talent. But when it's somebody that I had on a little square piece of paper when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, and I collected it, and it was sitting in the back of the closet, that to me is a huge deal, and I love that.
I'm the same way. When I watch the players that were, my seniors, the guys that were out there, kind of been in the big leagues for a little while, and I'm coming up facing them or playing against them. It's always a little bit mind shock, to see that and to be on the field with that, and nothing but respect for them, obviously. But it's just it's cool, very cool.
Now, what you got going on in Port St. Lucie is Mets Fantasy Camp. Tell me about what you guys got going on. You guys actually you joined us a little bit earlier today because you ended your game quickly. You're moving on. What's the status? First off, what's your team name? And then we'll go from there.
Our team name is the Ho Ho Joe Bells. I made a little Christmas with our last name, but we did really well. We won our first games. We were the number 1 seed, and then we had a bye, but you still play a game. And we kind of threw pitchers out there that have never pitched, that have just, had a dream of pitching. We lost that game. And then I had to pitch like the last 4 innings. And then the game got finished. But then we played, today was the first playoff game. It was kind of tight early on, and then we won by 5 or 6 runs.
Yeah.
Then we play tomorrow. So it's kind of like the championship game tomorrow. And then if you win that, you go to the World Series game at the big stadium.
Yeah.
All the other teams watch. You play a little bit later. And as long as you just stay healthy, that's the number 1 key, because a lot of these guys are in their 50s and 60s playing 2 games a day. And we have some trainers out there, and we're pitching to each other. It's a grind. It really is.
Well, Howard, thank you so much for joining us today. It's truly been an honor to have you on the program, and you guys. I hope you all win the championship. I hope you go to the big stadium out there, Port St. Lucie, and bring it on home. And I'll feel like I was a part of it, because I had talked to you before you went in there and won the whole shebang. So. And we will talk to you again, hopefully from camp. If not, we'll get the whole recap when you come back, Heath. Once again, Howard, thanks for joining us here on the program. For the 3-time All-Star, my name is Alex Miniak, and we'll catch you next time here on Bleav in San Diego Baseball.